are here today to present a few safety improvements along the Pacoima Wash. So there has been a tremendous need to enhance the infrastructure along the Pacoima Wash to ensure the public safety, especially of children, as well as improve accessibility for both pedestrians and cyclists. So all of these things, enhancing safety, increasing connectivity, and beautifying just the environment around the Pacoima Wash has been a top priority for Councilwoman Rodriguez. So we are excited to share that the Councilwoman has been able to secure funding to begin the design of the Telfair Bridge, as well as install upgraded fencing along the overpasses of the Pacoima Wash. So for the Telfair Bridge, that proposed project will basically link two neighborhoods together and provide access to the future El Dorado Park. And that's thank you to our partners, the MRCA, who's back there, so please go check out their booth. So that's going to be a really beautiful project. So all of these projects were born from the Pacoima Wash Vision Plan Initiative in 2008. And that's a great shout out to our partners, Pacoima Beautiful, and all of the other community members and stakeholders that helped put that together. So, and that initiative was basically to, help create a more healthy and sustainable community, to kind of summarize it. So, so all of these improvement projects were basically trying to enhance the safety, increase connectivity again, and just beautify the neighborhoods. And we have a great team. I want to give a shout out to our council office team. Humberto Quintana back there is our planning director. Susana Carmona is our Pacoima area director. Again, our partners, MRCA for the El Dorado Park, Pacoima Beautiful, and I'm about to pass it off to our city's Bureau of Engineering and their team and everyone that's working really hard to bring all of this together. So thank you again for being here, because your involvement and input is really important to us. So thank you. Am I passing off to you? All right.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Gibson. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, along with Twee Nguyen, who's back there. You can say hi. So we've been tasked with taking the lead on the design and construction of the Telfair pedestrian bridge, which is located halfway between San Fernando and Laurel Canyon down here, I believe. We are currently in the conceptual phase, and so we're currently developing playing around with different design concepts and developing the environmental document. We plan on starting the design in a few months. Design will take approximately a year, and we anticipate starting construction late 2021, fall-ish. We currently have funding for the design, which was provided through Measure M, which was developed to improve transportation throughout the city. We're seeking funding for the construction, and again, we anticipate securing that by middle of next year. So these are sort of the agencies that are involved with the improvements. Again, we're with the Bureau of Engineering. We're working closely with the Council District and Pacoima Beautiful. Can you guys all hear me? Okay. This is better up here. And so Pacoima Beautiful developed the Pacoima Vision Plan, and the park and the bridge are all part of this plan. LA Recreation and Parks owns the park, but they've contracted with MRCA to design and construct the park. And construction should begin shortly, in a few months, I believe, right? So as soon as the park is done, we hope to start construction, and we're working closely with them to make a seamless transition between the bridge and the park. We're working with Kimley Horn, they're the lead design consultant, and Euler Wu, who's the lead architect. And so with that, I'll introduce Dwayne Euler to talk about the bridge design.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm Dwayne Euler. I'm a part of an architecture and design office. I'm here with Mariana Girgenti, also from our office. And we're both going to be around, able to listen, to answer any questions that you might have. So just a little bit of background. We visited the site, and I'm going to actually go back just to be totally clear. So the park, El Dorado Park by MRCA, is happening in this zone. And the bridge is essentially connects the two parts of Telfair Avenue. So a few images of that. As you probably all know, it's a relatively wide stretch because of the fences that happen in the two spots. And right now, not a lot of design going on in that zone. Our hope is to really, not just offer something that's functional and that solves this dangerous problem, but is actually a sort of amenity to the community. So there you get a better sense in plan of El Dorado Park. There's the new bridge that again becomes continuous. This would only be a bike and a pedestrian bridge. You wouldn't be able to drive a car along the bridge. And there are really three main goals that are the part of the vision plan for the WASH, and that is safety, connectivity, and recreational amenities. And our approach to it has been that we really don't want to come in and add something that just has a totally separate approach. We'd really like to approach this in a holistic way, so that there's a sense that the park and the bridge all belong to the sort of same design sensibility, and in particular, this sense of the natural environment that you'll see in the park. So just in terms of solving the structural problem, that's a little bit annoying, isn't it? I'm just going to speak louder. That's better, right? In terms of solving the structural problem, we've got a span of roughly 100 feet, and there are a couple goals. One is to not put a column in the bridge, and this is the case for a couple of reasons. The first being environmental. The environmental damage that might be done by pouring concrete in the bridge is a concern. We also don't want to affect the hydrology of the bridge. The top of the water essentially doesn't go over the channel, and so the goal is to keep the entire bridge above that point, so that nothing we do is really impacting the flow of the water through there. And there were a couple of bridges that we looked at that could accomplish this. The first being this steel truss bridge on the left, and the second being the arch truss on the right. And in considering these two things, the primary things that we were thinking about is what kind of presence does this want to have in the community? Do we want a big, prominent, tall arch bridge, or do we want something that essentially is sort of low to the ground, simultaneously beautiful, but relatively simple and low? We also thought about the idea that at some point you will be walking or riding along the river, the Wash, and the ability to see someone on the bridge or turning the corner was a consideration in the overall height of the bridge. So what we've done today is we haven't really provided a full design of the bridge. What we wanted to do is we wanted to present you with our sensibilities, the things we're thinking about and what our concerns are, point to a few things that we kind of have in mind for particular features of the bridge, and then listen to what you have to say. So the kind of things that we're thinking about, as I said, is first the integration of the bridge into the park. It really sits right at the end of the park. So we want to think about, for example, how people walk in and out of the park and onto the bridge. The second is, one of the major design elements is really the guardrail of this bridge. The structure, while we have some options, the structure is the structure. What we'd like to do is integrate a sort of beautiful element into the guardrail. And the kinds of things we were thinking about are things like patterning and articulation of the guardrail itself. Obviously, we need to provide something that isn't going to allow kids to crawl through, big objects to fall through. A lot of different ways we could accomplish that. So we'll talk about a little bit about that as we go forward. We're thinking about materiality. We're primarily looking at galvanized steels because we want this to be a thing that's going to last a long time, that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. And that's something that can happen relatively easily. We're also especially concerned about not impacting, in terms of ongoing construction, the site. And so both of the bridges that we looked at are prefab bridges. They're made off-site. The concrete footings at both ends are poured on site, and then we just show up and using a crane, place what would probably be two pieces on site without having to manufacture the steel or weld the steel on site. So the material that we're looking is a combination of the steel with elements like poured-in-place concrete that has textured decoration on it, the use of possibly weathered steel, and things like that. We're considering the role of signage in it, whether or not that's an important thing to have. Certainly something that at least marks Telfair Avenue, but that also might help you navigate within the larger context. Another consideration is the role of bikes and pedestrians. It's no secret that there have at times been collisions between those two things, and so considering the ways that bikes might move versus pedestrians might move into and out of the park. Is there a selected side? Do we need striping on it? These are all considerations that we're thinking about. Lighting is a really important issue, both for aesthetic reasons and functional. We'll go into that a little bit as we go forward, as is the landscape that surrounds the bridge. So this is the basic plan of the bridge. You see the two ends of Telfair Avenue on the left and the right, the water that moves through. These are all essentially the same elements that I was showing in the section, but now you're seeing those happening in plan. There is the movement from the bridge up into El Dorado Park. So when I was talking about the guardrail and the types of textures that we might look at, I've got two different things that we're looking at, and I think right now our objective is to really integrate these two things in some kind of design way. But the first is the idea of patterning. So we could create a guardrail that is made up of, for example, we could look to natural elements, vegetation, water, and we could essentially create a more abstract, more timeless pattern using these types of things by cutting patterns into steel or by texturing them into the concrete elements at the ends of the bridges. There are more examples of those. And another example that essentially accomplishes the same function is to take this more additive approach that you see in these more historic decorative bridges and to create ornateness in that way. One is a subtractive approach, you're cutting away from sheets. This one a more additive, ornate way of going about it. Again, our goal is really to think about a way to integrate these two things so there's a combination of the two. We think we can do that in a really beautiful way. And lighting, really important consideration. You know, the easy way to solve the lighting problem is to really just put up big lights on the site. But if you really think about that, for the residents that live right around this bridge, it's a little bit problematic because these could be big glaring lights that are keeping you up at night that are actually blinding when you enter the bridge. And so our general approach is to approach this in a more indirect way, so that all of the lighting is sort of concealed in things like the underside of the arch, the underside of the handrail, which also has the advantage of creating these really beautiful kind of washes of light that is a little bit, mysteriously achieved. And that is it for the presentation. But again, there are 3 different teams here. We're all here to listen to what you have to say, to answer any questions.